All right, Hojlund and Mount are back in first team training. That is good news for the club of Manchester United. And we, the fans, and it's the Dow fitness boost for Manchester United, Erik ten Hag in particular. This is the man who obviously came out and really called for having his best team. And he always told us that when I have my best team, I will obviously play the best football ever. And that has been evident in every time he's going to obviously have his best team. You remember last season, I think he only had his best team when playing Spurs, Aston Villa. You get, but for the rest of the games, the entire squad was depleted and we were affected by the injuries that really went ahead, obviously coming through and really affect the club of Manchester United players and kept them aside. Even yesterday, I was like in the match reaction that I just can't imagine how Man United is going to be looking if at all its other players are really back. And that means even our second string side is obviously going to be very, very competitive into every competition that you are going to be participating in, meaning that player rotation is really going to be important and we are going to be minimizing injuries. Let's smash the like button. Close to 100 likes as we'll come back. Rasmus Hojlund and Mason Mount, and continue to subscribe to this channel because we want to hit 20,000 subscribers into the mix. Now, Manchester United just some hours back have gone ahead and obviously put out what we call an article, and it had a title Double Fitness Boost for the Reds. And they said Manchester United have received a double fitness boost during Wednesday's training session. The Reds were impressive in reaching the Carabao Cup fourth round with a 7-0 triumph against Barnsley on Tuesday night, and the manager Erik ten Hag could have more options available soon. Both Mason Mount and Rasmus Hojlund trained with the group at Carrington, with our photographers capturing the pair working hard to prove they are ready to return to action. Mason Mount was in the starting 11 for the Premier League game against Fulham and Brighton, but was withdrawn at half-time of the away contest with the Seagulls. The midfielder had also performed well in the Community Shield encounter with Man City, and then a dynamic presence. Hojlund, meanwhile, was not featured in any competitive game yet. The Denmark striker was looking sharp in the preseason, scoring against Arsenal during the US tour, but picked up a hamstring problem in the same match. After making progress with his rehabilitation, our new shirt number 9 will be itching to get back with our free-flowing team, scoring 10 times in our last 2 fixtures. Look out for more pictures from the session, all right, on Thursday. So tomorrow we are really going to be having some photos of how these players trained, though we went ahead obviously getting some, as you know us very well. But Rasmus Hojlund trained today at Carrington, and he was part of the players that really trained today, and that is Rasmus Hojlund and Mason Mount. That's how they really went ahead to appear today. And then that is Mason Mount, that is Rasmus Hojlund, and again that is Mason Mount in the due course of training. Now, what does their return mean? That is the huge question, because that is what many people are really asking themselves. Because when you look at the club of Manchester United, obviously we can live richly in quality even when these players are not back. But when they are back, that really means a lot. Let's start out with Rasmus Hojlund. Rasmus Hojlund is the striker for the club of Manchester United, and I tell you, he's the first choice striker for the club of Manchester United, netting 17 times last season for the club of Manchester United. And no one doubts his qualities. And I was like, the baddest thing to happen to him was that injury he got when you're playing against Arsenal in the preseason, because I believe he was on fire and he scored and is a light-heading quick striker. And I tell you, he makes other people around him really look big. Though Zexi really has a better link-up play than him, but you cannot downplay that link-up play of Rasmus Hojlund. And having these two strikers available will obviously help us really engage and really beat our opponents to the bone marrow. Now, he comes in through when Joshua Zexi has gone ahead obviously look good with the club of Manchester United, though he has only gone ahead to score 1 goal. And what is the hugest impact of his return? I've always gone ahead obviously sound it here on several occasions that what makes me excited about the return of this man? It's obviously simple. You know, these players that are playing behind Joshua Zirkzee are just learning to play alongside him. But we all know to it that Rasmus Hojlund has been with his players for a full season, and they now know his runs. They can read his runs like Bruno Fernandes, Amadi Diallo, Garnacho, Marcus Rashford, and very many others. Meaning that if he was the man leading the line for the club of Manchester United in the game of Fulham, Liverpool, Southampton, talk about Brighton, talk about Barnsley, I tell you what, United would have gone ahead to obviously create more and more chances because they can read his run like a book. And he's that kind of person who has a lot to offer to the game. And having gone ahead to score, were they 11 goals into, were they 11? I think he scored 10 into the Premier League, and that was really good for him. So he comes in through when he has a competitor to beat, and we all know Zirkzee is a very good player. But I think this is not going to cause Erik ten Hag a lot of headache because he doesn't want Rasmus Hojlund to play 90 minutes. That has been evident ever since he came in through to play for the club of Manchester United. Even when he was physically fit, Erik ten Hag was like, I'm not interested in him playing 90 minutes, meaning that they're going to be sharing that time. But in the Premier League, I believe Rasmus Hojlund will obviously take the lead into that beautiful game of football in the remaining 34 games of the league. And I tell you what, he's really going to be very impactful. Then Joshua Zirkzee will start in the games of the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and the UEFA Europa League, because you're going to be playing 2 games per week. Like yesterday, if Rasmus Hojlund was available, Marcus Rashford wouldn't have gone ahead to start as a forward for the club of Manchester United. You get? Zirkzee would have gone here to start because Rasmus Hojlund would have gone to be available to play over the weekend against Crystal Palace. But because the manager knows to it that he needs a striker physical fit to play against Crystal Palace, as it's a more side that has gone hit obviously not see Erik ten Hag collect a Premier League point in the 2 encounters that's going to play them at the Selhurst Park. Erik ten Hag had to obviously rest Joshua Zirkzee, and he brought him on to play some, is it 10 minutes? 10, 15 minutes, 20. That's what really happened for the man known as Zirkzee. So his return really gives us a very good boost because the minutes are really going to be shared, and Erik ten Hag knows how to introduce this. Now that means he's going to be considered for selection when we are playing against Crystal Palace, and this is where quality is really going to help us go past these teams like Crystal Palace. You remember in the last 2 games of the season, as we played Brighton and Newcastle, Rasmus Hojlund was played off the bench, and when he came on those 2 encounters, he scored 2 goals. So that is the beauty of him. Get out Joshua Zirkzee and then get in Rasmus Hojlund to run them down. Remember, they are tired, and he's as a giant striker, and he's really physical, and that's what he gets you in there as you come in through to do the job at Manchester United. So for me, Rasmus Hojlund's return is really very important for the club of Manchester United, and I think for that Erik ten Hag won't have any headache because rotation is going to be easy. If Rasmus starts and plays 60 minutes, then Zirkzee will come in through and play 30. Then in the midweek, it will be Zirkzee to start. Rasmus plays in 30. So they are going to share the minutes, and they're going to be playing equal minutes every game that really passes by. Though sometimes when United is really poaching for a goal, I believe it will be sensible for the manager to have them both onto the field of play to do the needful. Because I remember sometimes Ten Hag could go in for a twin striking pattern. So I think if we are hungry for goals, when the game is like 1-0 and 30 minutes to go, the manager can say, let me have these 2 onto the field of play and see to it that we go long, because they can win those long balls. And the good thing is that Joshua Zirkzee can play alongside Rasmus Hojlund very well, because Zirkzee will obviously drop in, will drop back, and really bring that ball for Rasmus Hojlund. That is how good this twin striking will be in certain games altogether. So we just can't wait to see Rasmus Hojlund playing his first competitive game of the season, and that might be this weekend, because the manager told us that we expected him after the international break, and told us that no reason to rush him. And I think having a lot of players around has going to help the manager not to rush these players back, and that is really very important. Now, let's talk Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a very, very good player. You know, very good player. and he's going to really be facing competition because Eriksson came on and really put in a very huge performance in the previous 2 games that we played. Now, I just ask myself, how is Mason Mount going to fit into the team of Manchester United? Because the position that is there for him to play all share a minutes with the player that obviously plays there. Erik ten Hag looks like, I'm not ready to really bench that player, and that is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes has on several occasions not been taken off the field of play, and the manager is like, he is my right-hand man to lead my team. But this season, it might really turn out to be something different because we'll need to rotate these players. And Bruno Fernandes will start in the Premier League, and Mason Mount in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and the UEFA Europa League. That is kick-starting off next week, you know, mid next week. And that is so good of him. And I think Mason Mount will need to obviously prove himself in those games, and maybe even the manager in the Premier League, if at all the game is going to have to be killed off, done and dusted, he'll be like, all right, let me take off Bruno Fernandes and get on Mason Mount onto the pitch, because the competition in the midfield is really increasing hugely. When you look at the double pivot, we are having Eriksson, Casemiro, Manuel Ugarte, Kobe Mainoo, Toby Collier all tussling in for that spot, and they want to obviously get it done and dusted and see to it that everything really moves on as planned. So as it goes on as planned, I think the manager is really excited, as at one point I saw Arteta being asked on how he feels having all those players available. I was like, that is the hugest headache I will ever want, because every manager would like to be playing every game with a fully fit squad. But after Mason Mount returns, that means the next in queue to return is Luke Shaw, Malacia, you get those 2, and Lindelof. Those 3 are really in queue to return. And I think the last player to return is really going to be Lenny Yoro, who is expected to return in November or even December. And his return is not going to be hurried. It's not going to be rushed. We'll take our time, and the rest will be history. So for me, I'm just excited that Hojlund is back and Mason Mount is back, because yesterday, if Mount was around, I think Eriksson wouldn't have gone ahead to feature. Mount would have gone ahead to be played as a number 10, because that's his favorite position. And I believe in him that he needs to obviously pick up what we call consistency and be fit. Last season, what affected him were the injuries. Even when he came here and really scored a goal against Brentford, his first competitive goal for the club of Manchester United, Mount went ahead to get injured in training, and that is the worst bit of it, him all. And you can only prove to us that you are good enough and worth the £50 million plus €10 million of first £10 million of add-ons that we are paid to Chelsea for you to cross to Manchester United, if at all you are readily available. And I've always gone ahead to make this statement. Even if you are good enough, that doesn't make sense when you are not always available on the pitch when we need you. So, with us playing 2 games per week, we'll need Mason Mount fit and every player fit, because the manager will be having a very huge team and a very huge bunch of players to rotate. So, thank you very much for watching through. I call upon for your reactions into the comment section below about Hojlund and Mason Mount back in full training session for the club of Manchester United. So they are really ready, and I know that on Saturday they're gonna be obviously going to Selhurst Park to represent for the club of Manchester United. And we should also really look at there is something that had crossed my head. You get what is it now? I think when I remember it, I'll obviously have to talk about it in the next video, you know, and I forget to note these talking points down onto my my rim or my scalp, my full scalp into the mix. So we out. Bye bye.